Okay, so we're now 8 straight months into a continuous decline of travelers heading south across the BC-Washington border. Even Whatcom County didn't think it would last as long. Today I have a few updates to share. We'll look at the latest numbers from the border crossing, a US citizen flat out telling people not to visit the US, and a new gun control rule in Florida that just adds to the reason to stay away. Today's backdrop comes again from my mom. She snapped this photo in Lunenburg with the Blue Nose 2 in the background. They're still on their Eastern Canada trip and still having an amazing time. Before we start, just a quick reminder again to double check that you haven't been unsubscribed from the channel without knowing. I know it's still happening to a lot of viewers, so I'm going to keep mentioning it until we stop seeing these confirmations in the comments. Alright, before we get into the first report, I want to show you a screenshot I found with some data points from the BC-Washington border. It's pretty clear that the travelers are still going down from last year, even though we saw a bit of a bump during the summer months. It makes sense though. A lot of those summer trips were probably planned long before the orange guy got back into the office. In my previous report, there was a Canadian couple that planned their trip well before Trump got into office. But now that the summer is over, I have a feeling this orange line is going to start sliding down again. And with Trump's latest 51st state nonsense, I wouldn't be surprised if it makes Canadians decide to stay put even more. Now this next shot shows the negativity towards our neighbor to the south is growing. Back in June 2024, only about 12% of Canadians said they had a very negative view of the US. Fast forward till now, that number has jumped all the way up to 44%. I wanted to show this because I know some of you have friends or family who might not share the same views as you. Or maybe they just don't care. But a huge part of Canada does feel the same way we do. And that number is climbing month after month. And this last slide shows that nearly 3 out of 4 Canadians have made some kind of change to boycott the United States. Whether it's avoiding travel, cutting out US products and groceries, or pulling back investments in the US, Canadians are taking action. So even if it's not every single Canadian, it's clear that we're making a difference, and that momentum is growing. I'm just waiting for Donald Trump to say something really stupid. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to view the full report from Polera later. Maybe check it out after my video. Alright, let's get into the first report.
BC residents?
Right now we're going to boycott it.
I am not interested in traveling to the States. Doesn't sound like a very nice place to visit right now.
Aren't interested in visiting our neighbors to the south. Gary DeRosier works in the lumber industry. He says the tariffs played a big role in his decision.
Once he did that, I said, well, that's it. I won't be back until you're not a president.
While Kennedy Brown says for her, it's the rhetoric.
There's a lot going on down there that I just feel safer almost staying in Canada.
And the numbers from Cascade Border Data Warehouse back this up. From February to September, the number of drivers crossing the Peace Arch, Pacific Highway, Linden, and Sumas ports of entry have dropped. Just last month, the number of vehicles with BC plates heading south plunged 40%.
So this lines up pretty closely with the screenshots I showed you earlier. Now, I'm going to assume that these numbers also include commercial crossings, and probably US citizens visiting Canada and then heading back home across the border. I really wish there was a way to filter it down to show only Canadians crossing the US. Because if we remove the commercial traffic and returning US citizens, I'm pretty sure the numbers would be even lower than what we're seeing on the screen. That's just my take though. I mean, I could be wrong.
It is pretty unprecedented.
Jennifer Bettis from the Border Policy Research Institute says these numbers are alarming.
I was not expecting it to be so dramatic or so prolonged.
So let me get this straight. You didn't think having your president threaten our country's existence, slapping tariffs on us, and having your fellow citizens disrespect Canada would make us this angry for this long? I'm sorry, but that tells me you really didn't understand how serious this situation is, or how deeply your president offended an entire nation. Now I know this doesn't apply to all US citizens, but what it does show me is that there's far too many average US citizens still aren't taking any of this as seriously as they should. It's like saying, oh, they're mad right now, but they'll eventually be back. This person is from the Border Policy Research Institute in Bellingham, a city I used to visit a lot. But hearing these comments just reaffirmed why I have no reason to go back to your country, let alone Bellingham.
And it could impact Washington State's bottom line.
Businesses in particular are going to have to look at their business models and adapt or try to find a different way to make money.
We recently spoke to business owners in Blaine who say they haven't seen a lack of Canadian travelers. In fact, some say they've seen an uptick. Part of this could be that in early September, Prime Minister Mark Carney announced Canada will be removing counter tariffs that were put in place in March. But Bettis says the question remains whether these trends will last.
And only time will tell if this is going to be a permanent change, if this is going to, just be a blip and then we'll be back to normal at some point.
Demetri Marigo, CTV News, Vancouver.
Well, it's definitely a permanent change for me. Sure, you wish things would go back to normal. But in my opinion, as one Canadian voice, things are never going to go back the way they were before. And I'm sure a lot of Canadians watching, and even some of our international allies, would agree with that. Now, what's really confused me in this CTV report is that they said some businesses haven't noticed any difference, and a few are even seeing an increase. That doesn't make sense. Not after all the Bellingham reports I've covered, and the travel numbers continuing to drop. So I'll let everyone be the judge of that. But personally, I call bullshit. Now let's take a look at this next clip I found on TikTok, where a US citizen gives a very firm warning about visiting the United States.
I spent most of this winter in South America. I just got back in the other night, and I want to relay this message to all our friends and government officials and people we worked with all over the world. I want to tell you the same thing I told the South Americans the other night. Please do not come to the United States. We are not the same country we were 4 months ago. It is not safe here anymore. They can pull you off the street. They can detain you. They'll do God knows what to you. They're doing it to our own citizens. They will do it to you. Please do not support American products. Don't buy American. Don't vacation here. I'm very sorry to say this, and I want to apologize on behalf of all rational Americans in this country who are fighting Trump tooth and nail with everything we have. We're sorry. We're doing the best we can to get rid of this guy. And all his crooked cronies, but we're having a very difficult time doing it. We handed him the keys. An ignorant populace handed him the keys to this kingdom, and we're finding it very difficult to even slow him down, frankly. I think America's done.
Things have definitely changed over the past 4 months. Whether it's CBP, ICE agents, or the entire city's now showing visible military presence, the United States does feel different. And I don't mean just politically. The overall atmosphere, the way people act, the tension in the air, it's hard not to notice. It actually reminds me of Back to the Future Part 2, where Marty McFly ends up in the version of the world run by Biff Tannen. Total chaos running the streets, corruption everywhere, and everything that once felt normal was gone. The world Marty remembered was replaced by one man's ego and greed, and it's strange how close that feels to what we're watching play out right now. Now, if you want to feel even more uneasy about going to the US, Florida just made it official. They've now allowed open carry for guns across the state. Before, I think it was concealed carry, but now Floridians can proudly show off their weapon of choice like a badge of honor when going to the grocery store. Because nothing says safe family vacation like standing next to someone in the produce aisle with a rifle on their back.
Thousands of you have commented on our Facebook post reacting to open carry now being legal in the state of Florida. There have been questions about where people can and cannot carry a weapon, so our Chad Mills spoke with business owners who are taking steps to make their stance clear.
Open carry is here, which means gun owners can carry their guns visibly in many places across Florida. Firearms instructor Joe Yeager is ready for the change, but knows not everyone is.
It's going to be an adjustment period, like anything else.
And Florida businesses will be a big part of that adjustment. Even though open carry isn't allowed in places like bars, schools, and police stations, it is permitted in businesses like grocery stores, shops, and some restaurants.
As a Canadian, it absolutely blows my mind why someone would feel the need to bring a rifle to a grocery store or have it strapped across your back while grabbing a burger at a fast food place. Kind of like this. It's ridiculous if you ask me. And all it does is open the door for more violence, more ego, and more people trying to prove that their gun is bigger or better than someone else's. And in the end, that means more innocent people are going to die. All I know is that I'm going to stay as far away as possible.
If the owners of those businesses allow it.
I really believe it's going to be a creative and an opportunity for a dialogue that's probably been needed.
Chris Steinacher, president of the St. Pete Chamber, is asking businesses to get prepared, Be aware that open carry is here. You might see people in public places carrying handguns, rifles, and shotguns. Business owners also need to decide whether or not they'll allow guns inside their businesses.
Thank you for having me here today.
The Chamber has partnered with the St. Pete Police Department to roll out these stickers available to St. Pete businesses that want to prohibit guns on their properties. Business owners can ask a gun carrier to leave even without a sticker or sign, but Chris believes this will help prevent unnecessary confrontations.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Because if you're talking to a guy with a gun on his hip, already fueled by ego and attitude, then you tell him he can't come into your store or restaurant, I'm going to guess that's not going to end well.
Quite frankly, it's a felony if someone comes into an establishment that says no trespassing with a gun on it. That's a third-degree felony. So I don't think people want to get themselves in that kind of trouble.
Back at the range, Joe hopes businesses will think hard before banning open carry.
Do we really want to turn away customers who may have been concealed carry before and have regularly come? Now they choose to open carry, and we no longer welcome them.
St. Pete businesses can pick up one of these stickers at the Chamber's St. Pete store Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I'm going to take a guess here, but I'm going to guess that a lot of businesses probably don't want open carry anywhere near their shop or restaurant, but they're too scared to actually ban it because that could cause even more problems. It's definitely a tough spot to be in. You don't want guns around the customers, but you don't want to deal with the backlash from the people carrying them. But hey, everyone's got their rights, I guess. Now let's take a look at what's been happening since the open carry law officially went into effect.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now...
About this shit 2 days ago, dog. We at Walmart. Open carry is for real, dog. He just got done talking to the sheriff about the shit, man.
So it definitely looks like Floridians are already taking advantage of this new law, openly showing off what they're packing. Weird flex. I don't get it, but okay. So what's my takeaway on all this? First, the border numbers at the BC-Washington crossing keep going down. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing happening right across the country. So let's keep the pressure on and don't take our foot off the gas. Second, just stay away from Florida. Simple as that. Now, I'll leave you with one last video. It's from a Floridian who actually is against the new law and gives his take on what it means moving forward. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe to help get this message out to more people, and share it with your friends as well. I thank you for watching, and I'll leave you with this last final clip.
Starting tomorrow, September 25, 2025, on Thursday, begins the new Florida law with guns called open carry. That means that the beard-looking, tattoo-looking, uneducated buffoon will be showing off his or maybe her gun. Except that the she doesn't have a beard. But either way, it is a terrible law. So let's break it down. You can no longer stick your middle finger at anybody in the streets, especially when you're driving. You can no longer even do a gesture or look at someone bad. You cannot even honk your horn because the buffoon, the uneducated, crazy person is going to pull out his gun, his or her gun. They're going to go like this. Boom. Thank you to Governor Ron DeSantis. It's a terrible law. Starting tomorrow, people are going to die throughout the state of Florida, especially here in Miami-Dade, because this open carry thing, this open carry law will take effect, okay? And it's very simple, okay? You go out and you're driving in the street, and you just do one little thing, and the person that you do that to, you piss them off, they lose their self-control, because let's be honest, there are a lot of beard-looking, tattoo-looking individuals that have self-control and are very mature. But you'll have those that are not mature and they'll lose their self-control. And let's be honest, mental health is at an all-time high. Mental health issues, all-time high. So this is a very bad law. People are going to start dying tomorrow. Police officers are going to be, and sheriff's deputies are going to be helpless because they ain't gonna be able to do jack shit